there are things that you want to achieve, dreams that you want to realize, goals that you want to meet, and you're not making progress, or you're not making consistent progress, chances are the issue is not about lack of time, but lack of clarity around your priorities and lack of commitment to those priorities. What I mean is, a lot of us have an idea of what our ideal life looks like. And we hold that idea as something quite abstract, like out in the future at some point. But then we aren't doing anything in our current reality to align with that future vision. So, of course, we're not going to make progress. Of course, nothing is going to change if nothing we're doing now is aligned with that vision of what we want our reality to be. So, I'm going to lead you through an exercise today that is going to help you get crystal clear on that vision, and then crystal clear on your priorities and what you can do to make sure that those priorities show up in your day-to-day, in your week-to-week, so you can start making incremental progress towards that vision becoming a reality. To give you an example, once I recommitted to my art practice and felt re-engaged and re-energized by this creative practice that I love so much, and it felt so good to me, I knew that this needed to be part of my life consistently and a bigger part of my future, not just something I do on the side, but something that is a big part of my day-to-day. And I needed some way to bridge that gap from doing small drawings here and there to actually making art part of my life consistently. And what I did was then set goals around showing my art, because that was a really strong motivator for me to create and to get out of my sketchbook and start making paintings, for example. And so I set a date to host my own art show. And that was, I think, I gave myself like a 3-month lead. And then because of that, I was very consistent in scheduling time in my calendar week to week to make sure that my art would be ready for that goal. And I did not expect that in my first art show, that's it, I can quit my job and be an artist and I'm done. It was a way to make sure that I was already building towards this vision or this future reality that I was aiming for. Not only that, but when you do exercises like that and you commit to working on something for a certain period of time, you actually experience what it's like, because sometimes we have an idea of what something is like. We think it's the best thing in the world, and the reality actually is quite different. So it's important that you actually experience that thing that you think you want to make sure that you actually want to do it. And the only way to do that is to actually make the space in your life for that thing to be present. But in order to do that, you want to first get clear on what is the vision, what is the goal, what is that different or new reality that you're working towards. And that's what we are going to work on today. Okay, so what you want to do is get yourself some paper, some pens, some markers, whatever you like to write with, and set aside some quiet time without any distractions. Let your family members know not to disturb you. Give yourself a good 30 minutes of space for this exercise. And the first thing you're going to do is think about what you would like your life to look like 5 years from now. So in the center of your page, you're going to write the year that is 5 years from now. So for me, that will be 2031, which is absolutely bananas. And before you start the writing process, you want to give yourself some time to just quietly meditate on this. So my suggestion is to pause the video, set a timer for 5 minutes, just close your eyes and spend some time imagining, what is my life like 5 years from today? And make it your ideal vision. So what are you doing with your day-to-day? What is bringing you joy? What is giving you energy? How do you feel physically? How do you look physically? How are your relationships? Who are you in relationship with? What are your hobbies? How are you spending your time? Where do you live? Just let your imagination go down all the roads it wants to go down. And again, stay within that positive vision. It's okay if it feels unrealistic. So go ahead, pause the video now, and spend 5 minutes just dreaming and imagining. When you come back to your page, what you're going to do is start writing down all the ideas. So I like to make branches. You can use the same color. You can use different colors. It's up to you. But let's say, and this is going to be me. It's going to be just random ideas. This needs to work for you, obviously. So I'm going to say self-employed. And I'm going to say financially free. And strong and toned. And I'm going to say perfectly renovated home. A fully creative profession. So you get the idea. You're going to do that for you and create that map of what your life is like 5 years from now. Once you're done with that, you're going to create a new page. And this page is only going to be 1 year from today. So right now it is August 2026. So I'm going to say August 2027. And you do the exact same activity. This time it's a year from now. So it's still okay to dream big, but again, you're thinking about 1 year from today. There's a little bit less flexibility than 5 years from today. So these dreams might be a little bit more easy to realize, but you still want them to align with that larger vision, right? So I'm going to say monetized YouTube channels and consistent art sales. And I'm just going to add my same, strong and fit here because that's always true for me. And let's say instead of the fully renovated home, we'll say completed kitchen reno. Right, so you get the idea. So you're going to go ahead and do the same exercise, but you're creating that vision for 1 year from today. So by the end, you'll have this document to look at and to post somewhere where you can consistently see what it is you're aiming for a year from today. Once you've completed those activities, now you've taken these abstract notions of what you want to be, your life to be like, and you've put them on paper. You have your 5-year vision, and then from that, you've created your 1-year vision, which is your stepping stone towards that larger vision. But 1 year is still far away from us, and it's easy to get into this mindset of, I have a whole year, so I'm not going to work super hard today. But that's a trap, because we all know time moves very quickly. Before you know it, the year will be over, and you might look back and not have anything to show for progress in terms of that vision that you were creating. And so this is where planning the week that is in front of you is so important. So I'll share a video of how I plan my week, but I do this every either Sunday afternoon or first thing on Monday morning. And I will say it's better to do it on a Sunday because then you're starting the week with a lot of clarity about what your week looks like. Something you want to get clear on when you're looking at this vision and you're thinking about your day-to-day are, what are the non-negotiables in your life, the things that you have to make space for no matter what. So for me, even though my goals and dreams are a lot around creativity and being financially free and self-employed and all those wonderful things, the most important aspect of my mental and emotional well-being is physical activity. And I know that if I don't make space for exercise, for working out, for being outdoors, everything suffers. My mental health, my emotional health, my ability to even think creatively, to feel energized, to feel motivated and present. So the number one priority when I'm setting my schedule for the week is, when am I going to do my workouts? So when I lay out my week, and this is an example of what I do. So this is separate from, let's say, my work calendar. This is everything else I'm doing in the week besides doing my 9 to 5, right? So what I do is, the first thing is I look at my fitness app and what the program is for the week. And I make sure I'm clear on what days those workouts are happening, and I write them down here. There's also a Legree class that I go to once a week for my core health and my back health. And so then the next thing I do is I schedule that class and I add it here. So that is the number one priority that I have to add to my calendar, and that overrides everything else, literally. So there's that. And then the next priority for me are my creative projects. So that's YouTube, that is drawing and painting. If I'm preparing for an art show, that's in there. So all of those creative practices. So the next thing I do is, now that I've scheduled my workouts, I look at my calendar and I decide, when am I going to do my filming? When am I going to do my drawings? When am I going to do my paintings? And that goes in here, but it also goes on my actual digital calendar that I use to plan my life, because that way it helps me commit to it. And then the next priority is going to be making sure that I spend time with my friends and family. And I have a wonderful social community here. We always make a point of spending time with each other each week. And so usually we already have something planned, like a dinner or something like that. But this is also where you need to make tough decisions. So I don't say yes to everything because I've got a lot going on outside of my workday, and I need to make sure that I'm attending to those things first because those are my priorities. So this is what I mean about the importance of clarity around your priorities and around what it is you're working towards. It doesn't mean that everything else doesn't matter. Of course it matters. It's just that if you let those things take up all your time, then you're not actually making any space for the things that you want to create or the things that you want to bring in. The same goes if you've had a long day, you're feeling a little bit tired, and you come home and you just zone out in front of the TV or social media. You don't have a plan. You haven't thought about what do I need to accomplish today, and therefore your brain is just going to kind of go into the mushy zone, and that's it. Sometimes that's appropriate, but at least you want to be making a conscious choice about that. And so that's why it's important to make your plan for the week and set your priorities. Got it? I hope this was super helpful for you. I really love talking about this. I shared a video a little while ago about the 12-week year and how helpful that is for making progress towards bigger goals. So I'll share a link to that video below. If you have any questions about this process, do let me know. If you want to share anything about your experience of doing this process, I would love to hear. And as always, your likes and subscribes are very much appreciated as it helps this channel stay alive and grow. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.